Warning, the following content could cause long-suffering Dallas Cowboys. Warning, the following content could cause long-suffering Dallas Cowboys fans to switch football teams. Viewer discretion is advised. Congratulations, Jerry Jones, you have done it once again! For a second consecutive week, you will become the ultimate meme in the world of sports. From all of us here on the Nation Sports Show, we thank you once again for giving us even more glorious content. Quite possibly, one of the worst hirings in NFL history for a head coaching vacancy was just completed a couple of days ago on the market. There were way better coaches out there that could have led this Cowboys team to greener pastures, that could have led this Cowboys team to their first appearance in the NFC Championship game, or even better, to their first appearance in the Super Bowl, which hasn't happened since the last time the Cowboys won it all, back in the 95-96 season, the very last time. They didn't piss off the entire Cowboys fan base. If you decide to change football teams, I do not blame you after all. There are way better teams to root for than the shitty Cowboys. Jerry Jones does not want a head coach who is defiant, that would look him in the eye and say, let me do my job as head coach. You do your job as team owner and president and go all in to make our football team the best that it can be. Let's run down the way better list of candidates that could have replaced Mike McCarthy as the next head coach of the Cowboys than the hack he has just hired. Oh, you are so fucked.
Oh, no!
Up
We
first
suck
on the
again.
list, six-time Super Bowl champion and soon-to-be Hall of Famer and one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, Bill Belichick. Another guy who won a Super Bowl as head coach, Pete Carroll. Mike Vrabel. Primetime Deion Sanders. Offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. And defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn. But no, of course, Jerry Jones had to settle for mediocrity. After all, that is the one consistency that is going on with the Cowboys, pissing off their entire fan base. Mr. Jones, you got a thing going on, failing with epic proportions. The next head coach of the Cowboys is Marty Schottenheimer's son, Brian Schottenheimer. How fitting. The next head coach of the Cowboys is the guy who did not call now one single play as the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys last season. And even worse, your defensive coordinator is former Chicago Bears head coach, Matt Eberflus. Your next 30 years, Dallas, will not be the best years of your life. Enjoy the rest of your existence in football hell.
Ooh, you suck.
Tonight on Our Nation Sports Show, we recap Championship Sunday in the NFL. In the NFC Championship game, it was Saquon Barkley and the Philadelphia Eagles facing Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. In the AFC Championship game, it was Patrick Mahomes and the back-to-back Super Bowl champions taking on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills in an epic clash of titans, in a game that lived up to the hype, in a game that will stand the test of times for generations to come. Tonight, we also bring to you the latest breaking news in the National Football League and the latest breaking news in the NBA, as Jimmy Butler has been suspended indefinitely by Pat Riley and the Miami Heat. Tonight, we also bring to you our 2-week preview of Super Bowl 59. It's showtime.
to the court, talking all that is sport, breaking down the latest news, scores, and more. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, do not adjust your television sets, or in this case, your laptops. No, this is not the Tennessee Titans cable network, because we actually have good football in this area. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show, and we are live. Hope everybody's having a good Tuesday. I am Mr. Vickery, and I'm glad to be back in the host chair this week after another weekend off due to some family commitments, but we're here, ready to go. We're ready to rock, so let's do it. And real quick, the ways you can interact with us, of course, at Owen_Sports Show on the Twitter machine, Facebook.com and Instagram.com/Our Nation Sports Show. Also, don't forget to follow our sister crew, The Nation's Corner, at The Nation's Corner on the YouTube and on Instagram, and Nation's Corner across everywhere else. 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, same time as this show on Saturdays. The guys and gal detailing all things in the world of pro wrestling, and this week is a big one. The Royal Rumble takes place, and it's going to be a very historic event as we head on the road to WrestleMania. And that lady and gentlemen will cover everything there is to know on that subject and more in the world of pro wrestling on the Nation's Corner. So check that out. Also, don't forget to follow at 2Sweet Cosplay across all socials. We are getting active again on our social media, so check us out for some polls, some different content we'll be throwing up there in the next few days, especially with the Royal Rumble coming up, so definitely check that out at 2Sweet Cosplay. Alright, enough of my shilling, enough of my plugging stuff that I know I don't get paid for. Let's get moving here. And with us tonight, we got with us the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. And no, I'm not talking about our dearly departed Macho Man Randy Savage, but we got the next best thing, and that is JT Joey Thornton. What's going on, brother?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having an amazing Tuesday. And yes, I know I'm off camera, but that's because I gotta do a little bit of babysitting for the first few minutes, but you'll get to see my face on camera before too long. But until then, we got some sports to talk about, and yes, that unfortunate game on Sunday in which my beloved Commanders got their butts tore up by Philadelphia. But of course, that's for a little bit later in the show, because I got a full analysis on that. But in the meantime, let's get into it, baby.
Exactly, yes. And with us also is the patriarch of this damn show. Without him, this show wouldn't be possible. My heavy metal brother from North Carolina. Unlike System of a Down, he does not let his opinions interfere with our friendship. So they're getting things done. And unlike System of a Down, he's actually more productive. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one and only Big Stevie Wyand. What's going on, brother?
Yes, I'm very productive, destroying all things Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, and it brings me great satisfaction to do so. Oh, it never gets old. It never gets old, because Jerry Jones never seems to stop making a complete buffoon out of himself in front of the entire sports world. Week after week, he seems to put his foot in his mouth. Just, it brings me great pleasure to torture him every single time he does this to himself. He did it to himself, and that's that. There's nothing we can do about it. But we got a lot to talk about here tonight. Championship Sunday is in the books. Super Bowl 59 is set in stone. It should be a very exciting couple of weeks previewing the game, and we will be giving our scores next week for the big game in the NFL, the final game of the season. It is so hard to believe that we are just one game left. That's it. That's it. Playoffs are done. We will crown a new champion, or will we? Will the Chiefs be the first team to be the Super Bowl champions? We'll have to wait and see. That's why they play the games. And also, there was some news that came down in the NBA. We're going to get to that as well. And then some. Let's do this, boys.
Absolutely, Steven, and let's get right into the world of the NBA. Excuse me. And
Which,
let's
by the
talk about.
way, real quick before we dive really deep into it, Steven, awesome intro on the Dallas Cowboys.
Why,
That was
thank you.
top-notch perfection.
Why, thank you.
It needed to be a little more condescending. I'm going to be like Sean O'Hare. I'm going to be the devil's advocate and tell you, your team is fine. You don't need any picks. Jerry Jones was right, but hey, I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know.
Yes. That character could have gone somewhere in WWE.
Yeah, but they fucked it up by putting Piper with him.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about that, and that is that it was announced by Sam Sharania the other day that Jimmy Butler has been suspended indefinitely by the Miami Heat after he had left shoot around after being told that they were not going to start him as of that game. So he left shoot around, and as a result, Pat Riley's apparently had enough, and Jimmy Butler is suspended indefinitely now. And I said this in our group chat. I said this online on X, Twitter, whatever the fuck your sister's ass, whatever you want to call it. Why don't you just trade him? Just get it over with and trade him. Why go through all the drama, the headaches, the unnecessary bullshit from both sides? Jimmy having to walk out of a shoot around because he's being told, "Oh, you're not going to start anymore. We're going to have somebody else start since you don't want to play ball with them." But and then you got Pat Riley in the Heat office fucking not doing anything and being stern on, "Oh, we're not trading him. We're not trading him. We're not trading him." Just get it over with and fucking trade him. Send him to the team he wants to go. Do some cash considerations, some picks, and call it a day. I don't get where the problem is.
My thoughts exactly. I mean, Jimmy Butler has literally made it clear. He has told the coach, he has told the president, Pat Riley, he has told the front office organization, he has told his teammates, he does not want to be in Miami anymore. So fucking trade him at this point, because the sooner that he can get a deal done, the less of a circus this whole situation is going to be. And I mean, I was watching SportsCenter this morning as I was getting ready for work, and they were talking about the whole Jimmy Butler scenario. Excuse me. Apparently word is going around that as big of a price as Miami was asking for to begin with has now gotten just a little bit lighter, which means Miami is anxious to get a deal done. Jimmy Butler is anxious to get a deal done. All Miami is waiting for right now is a phone call or a text message, email, Facebook message, whatever. Miami is waiting. A team just needs to call.
I get what you guys are saying. On one hand, I agree with this, but then on the other hand, like let's bring this up. So like when we look at some of these players that have had, they've been very disgruntled with their organizations and stuff like that. Like even Kobe, for a little while was disgruntled with the Lakers. They weren't making any moves to be competitive, to move the needle, to be ultra competitive in a very tough Western Conference back around the 2007 season, before that season started. Because Kobe was carrying the Lakers all those years after Shaq was traded from the Lakers to Miami back in 2004. And now fast forward, to now in the NBA, usually when we have seen players that are not happy with their current team, they're not happy that they're not winning. And I understand that to a certain degree. But at the same time, here, I'll play devil's advocate here real quick. When it comes to back then in the NBA, when players used to struggle at times, even if they were a high pick to, in the draft or they, by a team, they didn't go and demand a trade. You know, like David Robinson with the Spurs back in the 80s when he was drafted. Did he go demanding a trade for a first couple of years? No. He stuck it out, with the Spurs. And eventually they got some good draft picks and they eventually landed Tim Duncan, and the rest was history. And the Spurs went on to be a dynasty for a lot of years. I understand that Jimmy Butler feels the way he feels, but at the same time, like you can't just up and like demand, to be traded. I understand that. I understand how he feels, because he wants to win. He wants to win a championship. But this Miami team went to the NBA Finals 2 years ago. Now, obviously, that was with a different roster. So I understand why he's frustrated, but at the same time, you can't just up and leave. Like, if you're a star player like Jimmy Butler is in the NBA, you would think that he would have some power to lure players to Miami. I mean, great weather, good environment, for people to hang out and stuff like that on the beaches and stuff like that. But am I'm torn with this because on one hand I understand, yeah, just get it over with and trade him. On one hand, I agree with that, but then on the other hand, sometimes you got to stick stuff out because I mean, Michael Jordan had his struggles, Kareem had his struggles. I mean, all the great players predominantly had struggles one way or another. And when you look at the situation that Miami is in with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Butler, he's one of the top scorers in the NBA. He wants to be traded to a contender, and there are teams out there that could use his services. I mean, the Bucks, if they want to ship out Middleton for him, I could see that. But if it's not Milwaukee, where's Butler going to go? Because I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody that needs him. Like the Celtics, they don't need him.
Send him back to Chicago.
Ooh, maybe to Chicago. Like you just said, Ez.
Jimmy G Buckets. The G stands for gets.
Yep. He's a talented player. But man, it's just, I get it. He's not happy. But you can't just up and leave just like that. That's just me.
Well, nobody cares, Steven, okay? God, why are you voicing your opinion on a show where we're supposed to voice our opinions? Okay. Other news in the world of the NBA, and this is a big one too, right here. The corner.
Real quick, in response to Steven, I just got one thing to say. It doesn't matter what your opinion is.
I do have a question for you, Steven. Do you like pie?
Oh, hell yeah.
We'll save the rest of the conversation off air.
Yeah.
All right, moving on here, we got this other piece of business, and that is the Sacramento Kings are open to toss a treaty to possibly deal All-Star De'Aaron Fox ahead of the February 6th trade deadline. There'll be plenty of suitors, and it is believed that Fox has a target destination in mind ahead of 2026 free agency.
Now,
Interesting.
This I can see going one of two ways.
Bad or horrible.
Number one, I get the fact where Sacramento is coming from because, yes, De'Aaron Fox is going to be a free agent after this season, and most trades happen whenever a superstar is about to be finished with their contracts. So I get it from that perspective. But from another perspective, like Steven said regarding the whole Jimmy Butler saga, there's been no doubt in my mind that since Jimmy Butler has been in Miami, he's been the go-to guy. He's been the captain. He's been the one that everybody looks for, everybody looks to get advice, wisdom, whatever, what have you. And that's where De'Aaron Fox comes in. Because, in my opinion, De'Aaron Fox is the catalyst of that Sacramento Kings offense. Now, obviously, he doesn't do it by himself because he's got a good supporting cast who's there to play with him, of course. But De'Aaron Fox has been the true catalyst for Sacramento's offense for the past couple seasons. I mean, they've even gone to the playoffs under his play because of his playmaking abilities. And for Sacramento to try to explore trade options for him, like I said, I get it from the contract ending perspective, but from the team perspective itself, I mean, they could, if they have enough cap space, they could bring in Fox once again on a long-term deal. Because granted, De'Aaron Fox is still playing on his rookie contract. But he's gone above and beyond with his playmaking abilities on this rookie contract. So De'Aaron Fox is definitely going to be a major hit when it comes to where he's going to go next season. And hopefully he'll go back to Sacramento. Because Sacramento will have the cap space to bring him in. But there's going to be a lot of other teams that are going to be calling too. Because De'Aaron Fox is such a star right now. He's one of the best young stars in the NBA.
And also, as well, he was a part of the catalyst to the Kings becoming one of the better teams in the last, 4 or 5 years. I mean, the Kings became a team that was not a part of the laughingstock anymore in the NBA. And Fox was one of the guys, along with Barbosa, that took that Kings team to a 7-game series against Golden State back in 22.
Exactly. So
very talented player.
So, I mean, I do get it. It will be a mistake for Sacramento to just up and trade him because he's entering his last deal, his last year of his rookie contract.
I tell you where I could see him going. It's one or two places in the Western Conference. One, the Suns, or even better, to the Nuggets.
Oh, if he were to go to the Nuggets, they would definitely have their big three with Fox, Murray, and Jokic.
Because, in my opinion, nothing against Michael Porter Jr., but Porter Jr., his numbers have really tapered off in the last couple of years. I mean, in the NBA Finals against the Heat back in 23, Porter Jr.'s numbers were very up and down inconsistent. But if you get a Fox in there for Denver, that right there could be the secret weapon for Denver. Because where Denver really struggled last season was against the Timberwolves when Jokic was the only guy besides him and Murray that were scoring in bunches for the Nuggets. But if you get a Fox there, like I said, he could really, really stretch the court and really, really spread the offense open because Jokic, as talented as he is, a 7-footer throwing the ball like that, and passing it around like a big guy, like a point guard, a point big man, if you will. Like Fox right there could get even more open because when he's in Sacramento, he's the key guy. Jokic is predominantly the key guy in Denver. But if you get Fox in the offense, like there's 3 guys you have to stop. Jokic, Murray, and Fox. But if he goes to Phoenix, to be a decent fit, with Durant, Booker, Bradley Beal. No, it's a decent set of players. It's just that who's running the offense? Because if he went to Phoenix, I would say that's the lesser of the two good ones because Phoenix really doesn't have a true point guard anymore. I think Denver's is his best move to go to Denver.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Yes, Steven, I get where you're coming from as far as that is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's something that you seem to be forgetting here, and that is the fact that as of right now, Phoenix is the top destination that Jimmy Butler wants to go. So if a deal gets done where Jimmy Butler goes to Phoenix, that immediately is going to take them out of the De'Aaron Fox scenario.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Next here is we're getting things set for the All-Star game and the slam dunk contest. Contestants have been finalized. You're going
Big
to
back.
Yep. And it's going to be Andre Jackson Jr. of the Bucks, Montez Buzelis of the Chicago Bulls, Stephon Castle of the San Antonio Spurs, and reigning two-time champion two years in a row, Mac McClung. So that's set right there. Also, two-time All-Star Isaiah Thomas is eyeing a return to the NBA. He is signing into the G League and joining the Utah Jazz's Salt Lake City affiliate. So there's a little bit of news for you on that. Return of Isaiah Thomas. Here's a WNBA trade deal that went down. A huge one. The Seattle Storm are trading six-time All-Star Jewel Lloyd to the Las Vegas Aces in a multi-team move that sends three-time All-Star Kelsey Plum to the Los Angeles Sparks.
First time top picks in the WNBA were traded to another team.
Yep. Mavericks are unfortunately going to be without Maxi Kleber, who's broke his foot the other night. He will be sidelined for an extended period of time. Let's see what else here. Oh, we have, of course, the West and East NBA All-Star starters. In the East, you have Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Giannis, Tatum, and KAT. In the West, Steph Curry, SGA, Kevin Durant, LeBron, and Jokic.
Yeah, and
As usual, the popularity contest.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, weren't Giannis and LeBron the two top vote getters?
Yeah.
Well, it just makes me wonder what's going to happen because, the NBA is adopting that new All-Star format this year in which they're going to have 4 teams of, I think, like 5 or 6 players each. And they're going to have it tournament style to see who's going to be the true NBA All-Star champion. As I mentioned a few weeks ago on the sports show.
Yeah.
And also, the 4 teams are going to be captained by the former TNT analysts. So that's Shaq, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and I can't remember the 4th guy right now.
So it'll be Ernie Johnson, Kenny, Shaq, and Charles, right?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, because that's the core 4 of NBA on TNT.
And it makes sense because this, unfortunately, is the last go-round for the NBA on TNT.
Yeah. Also, too, real quick, Derek Lively for the Mavericks is going to be missing 2 to 3 months with a small fracture in his foot.
Man, the Mavericks are just shaken by these injuries.
Yep.
Luka with injuries and Lively with injuries. He's a very talented young big man.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely, I agree on that. Um, Mavs in a little bit of trouble there. All right, let's move on to the world of the Major League Baseball. And Joey, being the Major League Baseball aficionado that you are, have you heard any real big news that came out over the past couple days?
Uh, I really haven't seen anything that's major newsworthy as far as baseball is concerned.
Yeah.
I do know that with February fast approaching, it's going to be about time for spring training to start up before too long. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as baseball. I mean, not really anything newsworthy
I mean,
other
you're
than the fact that that Japanese pitcher Roki Sasaki signed a deal to be a LA Dodger, joining Shohei Ohtani as the other Japanese player, of course.
yeah.
But other than that, I haven't really
The
seen.
Dodgers are about the only team that's made any waves in the baseball world with these signings of these international players from different countries and stuff. Like it's crazy. I mean, like they got a huge payroll and they're dishing out money left and right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, when
You
you're the World Series champs, that's what'll happen.
yeah. Yeah, you got that kind of yeah, you have that extra money to kind of throw around and that star power, but um here's a couple of deals here that were made. Pirates are going to reunite with the former All-Star of theirs, Adam Frazier, on a 1-year $1.525 million deal. There's that. Also, the Mariners have signed another right-hander named Luis Castillo. So they got two right-handed pitchers, both named Luis Castillo. Oh, and speaking of the Mariners, even though I wasn't on last week, I want to say congratulations to Ichiro Suzuki on as he's going to be inducted into Cooperstown into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to Ichiro Suzuki.
Yep, along with him and Sabathia going into the
Yep,
Hall of Fame.
CC Sabathia. Yep. Congratulations to both of them, man. That was awesome when I read that news. Also the Cubs have officially got Ryan Presley from the Houston Astros after waiving the no trade clause. So there's a couple of quick little notes there. Otherwise, as I said, not really much going on. So let's see what else. Let's go on to I'm gonna check NHL real quick, see if there's any NHL news real quick, and anything big anyways. Oh, here we go. Here's a big contract update, and that is that goalie Logan Thompson has signed a 6-year, $35.1 million deal to stay with the Washington Capitals. So it's big for him. Let's see. Also, to Minnesota Wild player Kirill Kaprizov will have surgery and be out a minimum of 4 weeks because of a lower body injury. Of course, these fuckers got to be cryptic about these injuries. Assholes. I want to know everything. But yeah. So there's that for you. Let's see what else. Ooh, LaMelo Ball exited the Lakers Hornets game with a ankle injury.
Hmm.
All-Star reserves will be announced for the NBA All-Star game on Thursday at 6:30 Eastern. And then, of course, how could we forget this? I typed this in chat today. And that is that the news that the Warriors will retire the number 9 jersey of one Andre Iguodala.
One of the greatest swing players in the NBA, a guy who could play multiple positions on the court, and one of the greatest defenders that could defend basketball's greatest players. I mean, him and LeBron, him and Dwayne Wade and Kobe and you name it. I mean, Iguodala, no matter if he was in Philadelphia or what he was later known for was his run with Golden State. I mean, just an incredible, incredible player. I mean, just one of the guys who believed in the old school philosophy of not about scoring the ball. He was a team player that you could rely on at any given point, not only to score at times, but to make that big defensive stop.
Absolutely. Joey, any thoughts on that real quick?
Yeah, I mean, Andre Iguodala, I mean, the guy was an absolute legend wherever he went, whether it was Philadelphia or whether, like Steven said, his best part of his career being with the Golden State Warriors and those NBA championship teams. I mean, it's going to be a true honor for Iguodala and his family to see his jersey hanging up in the rafters at the world famous Oracle Arena. So much respect goes out to Iguodala and the Warriors.
Yeah, absolutely.
He deserves it.
What was that, Steven?
He deserves it, without a
Oh,
doubt. I mean, to me, he's going in the Hall of Fame.
yeah. In other injury news, Paul George and Joel Embiid will sit out of tonight's game against the Lakers due to injury. Paul George sustained tendon damage to the little finger on his non-shooting left hand in the game Saturday against the Bulls. And then Joel Embiid will sit out tonight and is expected to miss the game against the Kings as well. So injuries bite Philadelphia as well. Tonight's games, we just started Philly and of course Sixers and the Lakers. Then we got the Rockets and the Hawks. And then later on tonight we got the Bucks and the Trailblazers, and the Jazz and the Warriors. So those are your games tonight. Check your local listings for more information. All right. Let's get into the majority of this show's conversation, and that is the world of the NFL. And let's get, as we get into the NFL, I'm going to go over some quick news items real quick that we did hear, not pertaining to some of these games, or not pertaining to the two games that happened, if they're located. The Pro Bowl wide receivers have been set today. Even though the Pro Bowl doesn't really fucking matter, it's just a game of flag football. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors, Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Jerry Jeudy, and Jackson Smith Najiba. Those are your Pro Bowl wide receivers. The quarterbacks repping the pro game include Jared Goff, Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold, and Drake May.
How the fact Josh Allen did not make the Pro Bowl is beyond me.
Because he's going to win that MVP trophy, baby! No, if I had to pick an MVP, I'm going with fucking Saquon Barkley. Either Saquon or fucking Lamar or whatever. But
well, I mean, you can't really count out Josh Allen because look at the years that he had without Buffalo having a true number one receiver.
Yep, I do agree on that. Oh, well, this ought to be holding. His microphone started copying.
Yep, it did.
Yep, I think I'm back.
Your mic is just gonna.
All right, hang on.
Do it live.
Live, pal.
Yeah, it reconnected to his laptop microphone.
Oh, ain't that a bitch?
It ain't mine. Go ahead, Ez.
No, I was gonna say, let's get into the travesty which you did a whole 3 minute intro on. Where
Wait,
your
wait, 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 wait. Did you just say 3 minutes?
minutes. Rest in peace, Jamal and Rosie. But yes, let's talk about this whole Dallas Cowboys situation. And once again, instead of going to get a coach from the outside world, they decided to stay in house, and they got I don't know his first name, but Schottmeyer. Coach Schottmeyer is now the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And like you said, a guy who did not call a single play as offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys beforehand. Steven, I don't have to voice my opinion. You know what my opinion is. I'll let you voice yours.
This is a complete travesty on so many levels. You mean to tell me that a guy in Brian Schottenheimer, of all people, Marty Schottenheimer's son, is going to be the next head coach to be the leader of men in Dallas? A team that hasn't had any success of winning a Super Bowl. What will be 30 years when the regular season begins this September? It has been going on. Jerry Jones has been reigning terror on Dallas for 30 years, hiring whoever he wanted to hire because he wants to control this team. Because Schottenheimer is not going to have the final say on what goes on with this team because he doesn't have any control. Like I said in the intro, partially being smartass, but also being truthful as well. He does not want a coach who will stand his ground and look at him and say, no, dude, you're the owner. You're the president. You run the operations of this football team. Let me do my job as a head coach because the last coach that did that was Bill Parcells 19 years ago. As we all know, the great Bill Parcells would not take anything from anybody. He would practically go tell you to go fuck yourself if you told him, you know, you can't do that, you can't do this. He would look at you and would basically say, dude, get out of my face. I'm the one on the sidelines calling the plays. I'm the one calling the majority of the plays on offense and defense because I'm the head coach. Yeah, we have coordinators, but I'm the head man on the football field. It's my job to get these guys ready to go out there on the gridiron. And it's laughable how, even though Mike McCarthy did not win them a Super Bowl, if he would have came back, I would have been okay with it because at least McCarthy has success in the NFL as a coach. That's why he was the one hiring that I did not have a problem with because of his past success with Green Bay. And he goes to Dallas, and they had 3 consecutive years where they won at least 12 games, went to the playoffs, won the NFC East Division title a couple of years in a row, and the 1 year they didn't make it to the playoffs at all or win the division at all, Jones decides to go with a different guy as head coach? Like, you got to be freaking kidding me. I mean, this is so bad. Joey, what are your thoughts? Because to me, it's ridiculous how this is going. Because I've read on Facebook where there were Cowboy fans that were basically saying, like, is it too late to jump teams? They've had enough. You have angered the Cowboys fans all over the world. And Jerry Jones continuously makes a fool out of himself. I mean, he puts his foot in his mouth every single time he steps foot to a microphone. And That's the thing that annoys me more than anything. Do you see any other head coaches in the National Football League that are second fiddle to the owner or president or both? No. The Cowboys is the only team where the team owner slash president is the guy who talks predominantly first. It is a travesty what this team has become because, unlike the Cowboys, teams of the past, such as even Chicago, as your Bears have struggled over the years, but unlike Dallas, Chicago at least went to a couple of NFC championship games and they went to a Super Bowl 19 years ago. And then other teams like the Steelers, like the Niners, even though San Francisco did not win a single Super Bowl in the last 30 years, they have been to a couple, they've been to 3 Super Bowls in the last 31 years. Dallas has been to none in what will be 30 years this season. It is a travesty. And I'm not trying to pick on, the fan base, but I'm just letting bygones be bygones, calling spade a spade. And I think Dallas fans everywhere have finally had enough with this bullshit. I think that they want change. And the change they want is Jerry Jones stepping down. Because Jerry Jones is the problem. He is the problem with this football team. Because he says he's all in, but he's not. He's like a politician. He'll stand up there and he'll lie to your freaking face. He constantly just says some of the dumbest things in sound clips. He says some of the most outlandish things, and I'm thinking to myself, dude, are you okay? Like, some of the stuff he says, I'm like, there's something wrong with this guy. There's truly something wrong with this guy. Like, he believes all the bullshit that he's talking. I love this football team. I think we got a great football team. He sits there and he praises mediocrity. Nobody would be praising this shit. I don't care if you have won Super Bowls over the years or if you have not. If you have success going to these games and then you start struggling, I'm not expecting the head coach to go, yeah, we still got a great team even though we suck. Like, come on. If the Kansas City Chiefs next year started sucking, I'm not expecting Andy Reid to be going, yeah, we suck. Yeah, we got a good football team. Yeah, we don't suck. We got a good football team. Dude, this is so bad on so many levels. Like when I read that post on Facebook that one of my friends said, you considering jumping ship to another team? I laughed my ass off. Like, now you're finally seeing through the crap that you've been dealing with for the last nearly 30 years? It is just ridiculous what this team has gone through. And this is all in Jerry's hands.
Quite honestly, at this point, the chances of Jerry Jones stepping down as owner of the Dallas Cowboys, I would say our chances of the 3 of us winning the lottery are better.
That is true. I mean, dude, all of the crap that your football team has gone through in the nearly 20 plus years. Or hell, it's probably been longer than that. When Dan Snyder was the owner.
25 years.
25 years. 25 years of literal hell for the Washington Redskins and now Commanders. This team went through so much adversity, and now they can actually say, unlike the Cowboys, them, the Giants, and Philadelphia have been at least to the conference title game, unlike Dallas. Because that is the one ghost that is the Cowboys are still chasing. It is those ghosts of the past times of glory when they last were on the top of the NFL mountain, when they were the kings of the National Football League. They are the most overrated franchise in sports, arguably, because all the money that has gone into this team has meant nothing. Because they give their fan base glimmers of hope that we're going to make a run. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And in some shape, way, or form or another, they always fail.
And quite honestly, if I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, I don't even know what to say at this point because I have quite a few friends that are Dallas Cowboy fans, and I really haven't had a chance to talk to any of them in regards to what has happened with the new head coach, new defensive coordinator, all this mumbo jumbo. But if I know them like I think I do, they're probably telling Jerry Jones to shoot yourself in the foot at this point. Because Dallas, like you said, Steven. Oh, hang on 1 second.
It's ridiculous. Oh, go ahead.
Here we go. But yeah, Dallas has been living in mediocrity for right around 30 years now. Right around 30 years. I mean, you've only won, Steven, I believe you said 3 playoff games in those 30 years?
That sounds about right because Romo won one, Prescott won one, then he won another one. Yep, they've won 3 playoff games
in 3 playoff
games
years. in those 30 in the last 30 years. Now, I get it. That's actually the same amount that Washington has won in that less of a time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Because keep in mind, we won the wild card round back in 2005, and then, of course, we won 2 playoff games this year.
Yep.
So, I mean, I happened to see something on Facebook earlier today that just about made me want to roll out of my chair at work. It said that Commanders punter Tress Way has more passing yards in an NFC championship than Dak Prescott and Tony Romo do.
That's true.
Oh, yeah, that was funny. But, yeah, Dallas has really been living in mediocrity over these last 30 seasons. And quite honestly, this new head coach, who Steven mentioned during the intro, did not call a single offensive play last year. But yet Jerry Jones trusts this guy to be the head coach. And not to mention them bringing in a defensive coordinator who doesn't know how to call a timeout in a close game. Oh, Dallas. When is enough gonna be enough at this point?
You've tortured this team, Jones has, over 30 years. I mean, he fired Johnson after he won them 2 Super Bowls in a row. Lucky enough that Barry Switzer won him the 3rd Super Bowl in the 95-96 season in the last, 3 and 4 years. Won the 3rd one in 4 years. Luckily enough, that was the one time that Jones hired a guy after firing the better head coach, leads them to the Super Bowl, Switzer did. And then after that, they haven't done nothing. But if Switzer doesn't win in that Super Bowl in 95-96, we are looking at an organization that will be regarded as one of the biggest epic failures even more without winning a Super Bowl in the last 30 plus years.
I mean, if you really want to talk about failures for Jerry Jones, why don't you look all the way back in day one of his tenure as owner of the Dallas Cowboys? Because don't forget, and I'm pretty sure a lot of NFL fans will forget this, but in day one of his reign as owner of the Dallas Cowboys, he pretty much said sayonara to their winningest head coach in team history, that of course being the great and late Tom Landry.
Because for the longest time, coaches were not fired like that. You either stepped down as head coach or you retired. I mean, the Steelers have always done that up until Landry was dismissed by Jones. The Cowboys did not do that, and the Dolphins did not do that all these years when Don Shula was head coach. I mean, this man has ruined teams of Dallas that had amazing talent. Because it goes to show you that even if you have the greatest talents on the field, that doesn't mean you're going to win it all. I mean, over the last 30 years, they've had Tony Romo. They've had Terrell Owens, that wide receiver. They've had, who's the other guy? They had Tony Pollard. They had countless of great players. Emmitt Smith was still there even after they won those 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. Didn't go deep into playoffs at all. Still had Michael Irvin. Didn't go deep after they won the last Super Bowl. Still had Troy Aikman. Didn't go deep far at all into playoffs. At that, they have had more exits out of the playoffs than they have had victories in the last 30 years. I feel awful for this fan base. They deserve way better than what they've been getting for the last 30 years. Because I think that if Jones was to step down and relinquish his power, his control over this team, the curse will be lifted from Dallas. That's how bad he has his team in shambles. Because it took Dan Snyder finally selling the team to another guy for the Commanders to get it together. And that's what happened when Josh Harris and company were given that team. And Harris and Washington have built a culture that is damn good.
Yeah, and I thought having Dan Snyder as an owner was a poison. But it's nothing compared to what Jerry Jones has done to this once beloved Cowboys team.
They were highly regarded up there with San Francisco. Up there,
Very
with Pittsburgh.
highly regarded, because take a look at all the players, all the great players that has played for Dallas, ranging from the Super Bowl years. I mean, you have players like Roger Staubach, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. I mean, the list goes on and on and on for these amazing players that once donned the blue and gray for the Cowboys. And I mean, it is an absolute travesty to see what this team has fallen on now. It is an absolute travesty.
Yes, it is. And also, real quick, shout outs to William Gyron here in the chat.
William, what's going on, sir?
He says that the Commanders have nothing to be ashamed of. He said with Jones, it's his ego. And he's absolutely right. The ego has reared its ugly head in Dallas with Jerry Jones. 82 years old, and that man still believes the shit that he is putting out there on the field. He believes that everything that Dallas team does is going to be great. Oh, we got a great team. We got a great culture. We got a great fan base. This and that. Blah, 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 blah.
But yet, those are the same fans that have a humble...
Oh, this is true, William.
Dad,
it could be worse. You could be a Browns fan.
Yeah, humble, sad, and dejected look in their faces every time they lose a football game.
This is true what William just said. Hey, it could be worse. You could be a Browns fan.
Oof. Well, at least the Browns have done more than the Cowboys have.
They've gone to the playoffs.
They've gone to the playoffs.
And they were a
Playoffs?
couple of plays away from going to the AFC Championship game.
Playoffs.
Wait a minute. Playoffs?
Playoffs?
You kidding me? Playoffs.
Playoffs?
We gotta win an NFC Championship thing before we call ourselves a team. Playoffs.
But yeah, it's
You know what,
just
Joey?
an absolute travesty.
You know
And
what,
of course, whenever we get to the conference championship highlights, I of course will give my full analysis on the Washington Commanders. So
Yeah,
that's coming shortly.
absolutely. And let you know, as of we talked to him on Sunday, as of what we know now, at around 7:15 my time, 8:15 Eastern, Hijacker Mike will be joining us to give his analysis on those two games.
Word up! Let's go.
Nice.
Yeah, because Steven, in our group chat outside of here, when we were on Zoom, I talked to Hijacker about coming on today's show, and he said, yeah, he would pencil that in and try to come on. So we'll see if the man known as HJM shows up or not. But for now, let's get into some other topics here. Let's get into this weekend coming up, as we said, is the Royal Rumble, but also this week is a UFC fight that is going to be taking place live from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It is going to happen at about 10 o'clock Eastern, or it's, I think if I remember right, this UFC fight is going to be around, I think it said either 11.
That is insane. Regardless. Like, Saturday is going to be busy. You got the UFC fights, and then you got the Royal Rumble.
Listen, okay, right here. Prelims start at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time. Just like last week when I got up at 9 a.m. to watch GCW live from London, let's watch some fights at 9 a.m. in the morning.
Crazy.
So it's going to be a crazy, crazy day for that, and it's going to be an amazing fight card, and it's going to feature some of the best. We got Nassourdine Imavov taking on 15-4-0 with 1-0 contest, taking on Israel Adesanya, which promises to be a big matchup. Sharaputin Magomedov will face off against Michael Venom Page as well on the card, and also too, Saeed Nurmagomedov, one of the Nurmagomedov kinship, will be a part of this fight as well, taking on Vinicius Oliveira. Oh, by the way, Michael Venom Page is 22-3. Saeed Nurmagomedov is 18-3, taking on Vinicius Oliveira 21-3. And that is a bantamweight fight. So we got that to look forward to as well this coming weekend. Along with that, then of course Super Bowl Sunday. Obviously, we got Pro Bowl this coming week as well. All the different skills contests, the flag football event, the main Pro Bowl flag football event. Walter Payton, of course, we got the ESPN Honors, which will be taking place after the Super Bowl. Dirty NFL Honors, excuse me. And of course, we'll find out all the different categories, including Walter Payton Man of the Year. Of course, MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, all that stuff. We'll find all that out right after the Super Bowl. So keep an eye out on that as well. Well, we got a little bit of time to kill until possibly Hijacker shows up. So what do you guys want to get into at this point in time, since we got a little bit of time to kill?
I would say the NFC Championship game.
Sure, let's get into it. Let's talk about the NFC
Well,
Championship.
actually, there's something I want to bring to you guys' attention that I happened to see just a few short hours ago.
Okay.
And it has been confirmed that after being a possible option for a head coach for the New Orleans Saints, Commander's offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury has announced that he is withdrawing his name for the head coaching vacancy, and he will be back in Washington next season.
Right move. Because Cliff Kingsbury, to me, is a way better play caller than he is a head coach. Because when you are a head coach, you are the head guy in charge on the football field. You're focusing not just on offense, but also on defense. And some people don't have the responsibilities, to deal with multitasking. And at least, Kingsbury knows his strengths and his weaknesses.
Oh, yeah.
Great move. Great move.
Yeah, excellent move by the guys. Also,
There he is.
And there he is, right on time. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Hijacker Mike. What's going on, man?
What's up, brothers? Nothing much. Chilling. Try to get in and jump on with y'all for a minute. What's going on?
Not much. Just talking about the news in the NFL and the hiring by Jerry Jones with Brian Schottenheimer. I mean, what a great decision by Jerry Boy.
So I guess it's no Dion then, huh?
No prime time.
No prime time.
That's all right. Prime time belongs in college. Let them hype up the young kids and get them prepped for the NFL. That'll be a better fit, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree.
Real quick, also on my end, the Bears have officially got all their got their coordinators set up to a degree. They announced the hiring of former New Orleans Saints head coach Dennis Allen, who will be the defensive coordinator. Declan Doyle.
Sorry, man. I have to say on that one, but continue.
Well, that's actually a pretty decent move because Dennis Allen is just like Cliff Kingsbury in the sense that Allen is a much better play caller than he is a head coach.
What position did they hire him for?
Defensive coordinator.
Yeah, defensive coordinator.
Okay, that's a lot better than head coach. So, no problem. I can respect that.
And then also they announced the addition of Declan Doyle as the new offensive coordinator.
So they didn't call you in there in Chicago yet, huh, Ezra?
No, they didn't call him and say, "Come on, hey, you want to go? Chicago?"
I could probably do better than Matt Eberflus.
Hey, at least he knows.
Yeah.
Hey, at least he knows he's got the time.
Dude, and I'm glad Matt Eberflus went to Dallas. They could fucking have him.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, sign him to a 20-year contract so he can retire there in misery and shame.
Yeah.
Also, our special teams coordinator is now Richard Hightower.
Nice. But I will say one more thought on Dallas as far as I'm concerned. Even Steven wouldn't be able to save him.
No. No.
Yeah. You know what I think? I think the Raiders should do on opening day. They should have free haircut like Mark Davis nice.
Oh, speaking of the Raiders, we forgot to bring that up. Thank you, Hijacker. That Pete Carroll is the new head coach of the Vegas Raiders.
I'm interested to see how that turns out.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how that turns out too.
Because I respect Pete Carroll. I liked him when he was at USC. I know that little scandal he had before he went to Seattle, but I liked what he did up in Seattle. He turned that team from an upside down into a winner. You still should have ran Marshawn against New England that one year, but still, I have a lot of respect for him. But he's a lot older. We'll see what happens because he's been gone for 3 years now?
I believe it's been a year because he didn't coach last year. Yeah, he didn't coach last year. He coached the previous year.
Okay. So, yeah, let's give him a shot, see what he can do. But he's the kind of coach you're going to have to give him 2 to 3 years just to see change. Next year, I don't expect to see much, maybe a little bit, but they need a quarterback. And there's a lot of rumors saying that he's going out there possibly after Wilson to bring in as how do you call it? A mentor. Bring him in for a year or two to draft somebody and as a mentor.
For some reason, I could see that. I could get with that, because it makes sense because Pete obviously has chemistry with Russell Wilson.
Yeah, he drafted him originally, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah. So, only he can get him to play like he wants to. I can think of it as how everybody felt when Favre went, or not Favre, even Favre too, and Rodgers going to the Jets. everybody started jumping up and down saying, we got a veteran quarterback that knows how to win. They're going to come in and do it. And it turned upside down. I don't think that would happen in Vegas, but I do see a positive if he brought in a Russell Wilson to guide. What's that third string guy that came in a cup? Ritter?
Yeah.
Okay, him, and then you got to draft someone else. Maybe
But see,
with their pick, they
Riddler,
can get a decent.
Ritter went from Atlanta starting and had terrible years of throwing interceptions and turning the ball over with fumbles as well. So that's why he was made as a backup or a third string then, now. So,
Okay.
yeah, if you are Pete Carroll, you got to go after a guy you are familiar with.
Okay. Yeah, so, it makes sense. You got him. You could keep him on there. O'Connell, I'm not sold on. And then
Neither am I.
And then the other dude, Minshew, I'm not sold on him. I'm sorry, but he's got to go. He's got to go.
Minshew, see, that's the problem. Is he had that really one solid good year in Indianapolis, and then he goes to Vegas, and people were thinking, us included, were thinking, okay, he may not be a high quality starting quarterback, but at least he puts up decent numbers, and he didn't turn the ball over that much. But that obviously happened in Vegas. But I really kind of think that not having an offensive line really, really disrupted the flow of that team. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
no, real quick, I'm sorry. I'm calling an audible here. William Kyron just posted in the chat, hire Tony Romo to be the Cowboys head coach, LOL.
Well, I was hoping we'd send Minshew to Chicago for Ezra.
Oh.
That's a project they can work on and turn him around.
I just heard that Josh McDaniels is coming back to Oakland.
Ugh.
Oh, and also to add here in the chat, William also said he thinks that primetime ruined college football.
Oof.
Really? Wow.
He also says, when is the last time Kansas City had a penalty in the last 3 minutes? Good question.
When
Wait a minute. Did somebody say 3 minutes?
Once again, rest in peace, Jamal Rosie.
Yeah,
yes.
And that penalty and that 3-minute penalty thing was probably before Swift came along with Kelsey on the Chiefs there. All right. Next.
Don't even get me started on that. Mainly because I'll just come up with a bunch of Taylor Swift references, and the last two people we have watching the show will disappear.
Yeah, I won't catch any of them because I don't know what you're talking about.
Thank God.
I'll be right back, gents.
All right.
Okey-doke.
Okay, good. Since he's gonna take off real quick, let's go. Let's talk shit about him. No, I'm kidding. Let's get into the Kansas City Buffalo game, and that was a close game all the way through. It was actually a really good contest. But in the end, Kansas City was able to come out with the victory, 32-29.
Probably the best of the playoffs this year so far.
You had no doubt. I had no doubt. We all had no doubt that this was going to be a barn burner. This was going to be a slugfest. I mean, this felt like a true playoff game where everybody was throwing all cautions out the window. They were leaving it out there on the field, making plays on both the offense and defense. And real quick, even though they lost the game, but shout outs to James Cook on that touchdown for Buffalo. That was an incredible, incredible play by Cook. I mean, and Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen he has proven that he doesn't need star players to make a deep run. And, man, even all the great numbers that he put up, he still can't get past Mahomes.
It's crazy.
0-4.
0-4, but he's 7-2 in the playoffs, but he's 0-4 against the Chiefs alone.
And those two losses in the playoffs are to the Chiefs, right?
All 4 of his losses to the Chiefs are in the playoffs.
Twice in
two
the
of them are
championship
in the
game,
championship
and
game. Yeah,
twice in the championship game, and twice in the divisional round.
he's going to have to get over that hump at some point. I think he will. They're going to have to get in there when Kansas City's actually not, or if Kansas City gets knocked off in the next 2 to 3 years in the playoffs. He's going to have to get over that hump and get through, or he's just going to have to push him through. But if that game goes through Buffalo, it's a different story.
But even that, Mike, last year when we were saying the same narrative and we were picking Buffalo to beat the Chiefs, even in snowy Buffalo, the Chiefs still won the game.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
That's the crazy thing to me is we thought that, Buffalo, everybody said if Buffalo gets them in their building, they're going to win the game.
Yeah.
It was in their element. It was in their field, in their territory, and they still came up short.
And you know, it's funny. They probably wish they would have reversed games. They took the loss during the season against the Chiefs instead of beating them like crazy, and then took the win this past Sunday. But you know what? I was convinced that Buffalo was going to hand it to them even on the road because they handed it to them earlier in the season, man. Pretty good.
It was a convincing win for Buffalo. I mean, Josh Allen was making, Houdini-like plays, not just in the game at home, but even in the AFC title game. I mean, there was a couple of throws during that game where I'm like, oh my God, how did he fit that ball into a tight window? I mean, that is how good this young man is. But he just can't get over the hump. I mean,
true.
I think he has beaten Mahomes in the regular year. I think he's 4-1. But where it matters the most, he's 0-4. I mean, including back-to-back years. I mean, let's be honest, the best shot that any of these other quarterbacks, such as Burrow, when he went to the Super Bowl in 21, that was the best shot for him or Allen that they could have won a Super Bowl. And Joe Burrow almost won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Almost
don't cut it. You got to come back harder, but I don't see him doing anything out there because they weren't all that good this past year.
No, and that's another thing too about Cincinnati is they got to get off on a better footing because losing that game to the Patriots, that really killed their momentum. That really killed their chances of getting into the playoffs. And if you're Josh Allen, if you're Buffalo, if you're Cincinnati and Burrow and company, your best shot at winning a Super Bowl is that Patrick Mahomes is not in the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, he gets in there and he's a different guy when he gets in the playoffs, man. You can't really beat the guy. I know everybody says, the referees this and the referees that, but I don't think there was bad officiating much in that game Sunday.
Although there were two calls that were very critical. I'm not going to say that the referees are the sole reason that the Bills lost the game.
Yeah.
But there were two plays that did not help their cause.
Exactly.
I mean, the first down. That was a first down. Now, the one play that went against him that I can kind of live with because it was early on in the game, it was the Xavier Worthy catch that could have been called an incomplete pass or an interception. But to my recollection, both players were going for the ball at the same time, and if they both came down with it, that would count as a simultaneous catch, and it would be awarded to the offense.
Yeah.
And then what really confused me during that after that, they ran that jet sweep play, and then McDermott throws the challenge flag. I'm like, what are you doing? Even if that doesn't go, even if that jet sweep wasn't called, it's done. Even if it was called completed, the play was, you couldn't challenge that. But even though he got it in time, I guess, to challenge it, it still wouldn't have mattered because you need conclusive evidence to overturn the call on the field.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's so frustrating is there was a couple of plays in this game where Allen's players did not make the plays, such as Dalton Kincaid. Kincaid's got to catch that pass, and he dropped it. What more do you want Allen to do? And that's where I cannot put any blame on him for this loss.
You got to come back next year harder, man. You got to pick it up. You got to play hard.
I agree.
You got to make mistake-free ball, man.
I agree, but I do put this loss more on the players that didn't execute their plays. That's not on him. That player that Kincaid dropped the ball. He threw a great ball despite being rushed, and the player dropped it. It's the same result as Mark Andrews with Lamar Jackson last week against Buffalo.
Yeah.
It's crazy because thinking about the numbers that Allen put up in this game, statistically, he outperformed Mahomes. But where he didn't outperform him was in crunch time, making the big plays. The other team, your teammates, coming together with you, corralling on the offensive end, saying, hey, we got to go get that first down. Because when that fourth down was called short, the Chiefs got the ball back down 1. Even though Buffalo was up 1, 22-21, I still had a feeling that the Chiefs were going to win this game. Because you cannot, as long as Mahomes has a fighter's chance of winning the game, you cannot doubt that man.
Yeah.
And the thing about this, too, with this win, the Chiefs are a victory away from winning their 3rd consecutive championship, their 5th Super Bowl in 6 years.
They're on some New England
their
kind of
5th
shit.
Super Bowl
They're
in
on some
6
New
years
England
they've
kind of
been
shit
in.
right now.
Yeah, they're going for their 5th championship, or they're in their 5th Super Bowl in the last 6 years. Their 4th championship in the last 6-7 years. I mean, it's insane.
He's going to end up passing Tom Brady for this, man. He's going to end up being regarded the best of all time pretty soon if he keeps going at this pace.
The way he's going, dude, if he wins against the Eagles, that's 4 championships.
Well,
if he adds another trophy to his trophy case, it'll be protected by State Farm's home and auto insurance.
Yep. And he'll have my auto right there with him.
Yep, like a good neighbor. The refs, State Farm is there.
But no, both teams played great. The flow of the game was excellent. Both teams played great. But unfortunately, there's got to be a winner and there has to be a loser. This felt like the Super Bowl. This felt like the winner of the game was going to win the Super Bowl. That's how big this game was. You could feel the intensity in that building. The fans were on the edge of their seats during that game.
Yeah. And hopefully the Super Bowl will be just as intense as this game was, man, because like I said, this was the most electrifying game of the playoffs, in my opinion, out of everything happening. Washington did a good job. They went far and they made it exciting too. But this game past Sunday trumped everything in the playoffs so far with the way these two teams played, because it was as expected.
Now, as far as the NFC side of things goes, Hijacker, when it comes to that game.
Wait a minute. Did you say electrifying?
Yes, I did get that eyebrow up.
Also, how fitting, too. How cool would it be if The Rock was to show up yet again at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, go out there wearing all your XFL stuff.
Right? But, it is amazing. I remember when we first started this show, and Ezra and I have always thought about this. When Tom Brady was at the top of his game, we were wondering who was going to be that guy to step into the spotlight of the National Football League and command greatness and achieve greatness. And little did we know that Patrick Mahomes was that guy.
Yeah. And when was he a rookie? 16?
17.
17? And he's going to his 5th Super Bowl?
5th Super Bowl in the last 6 years. He became a starter in 2018.
Insane, dude.
And think about this, too. He could have went to 6 Super Bowls in 7 years if the defensive player for Kansas City doesn't jump off sides when Brady threw that pick.
And this was the second time they're playing Philadelphia, right?
Yes.
Look at that. Andy Reid playing his team he left for the second time in the big dance. How about that, huh?
Yep. And as far as the NFC Championship game is concerned, now for the first quarter and a half I thought it was, it was competitive, but there was a couple of times where I thought, especially Marshawn Lattimore, really, really shot himself in the foot with his attitude, his aggression out there on the field, because you cannot act like that. I'm sorry, you cannot.
Yeah.
Because by doing that, you're costing your team yards. Because that 4th and 5 that Hurts threw that deep pass to get the Philadelphia Eagles that first down, then Lattimore loses his cool. And then eventually, Philadelphia scores a touchdown. They take the lead. And then the fumble happens. And that's when the floodgates slowly opened.
Well, it's
But
crazy
even,
how things turn around, man. It's crazy the turn of events. A simple turnover can cost you everything. Sometimes turnovers you can come around, like when Buffalo scored and took, what was it, a 29-28 lead. How quickly, dude, I went into the kitchen to do a few things, and I came back, and Buffalo or Kansas City was already back on top, and it was like, what, less than 2 minutes? Because I think there was like 3 minutes to go in the game.
Yes, because Buffalo had the 4th down that was called short of a first down, the game, which was, it was a first down. Let's be honest, it was a first down. And then before you could even blink, the Chiefs were already in the end zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and like
crazy,
you said,
man.
that's how quickly turnovers can get ahead of you and can get away from you very quickly. And again, I cannot put this loss mainly on Daniels, because Jaden Daniels, despite having an interception in this game, I still thought he put up some pretty good numbers. But the defense, missing those assignments, the fumble on special teams, that really hurt their cause the rest of the game.
It's a team effort. You gotta put it on the full team. I know certain players will take the blame, but it's a full team effort because everybody's got a job to do.
Exactly. And even if you are down, and we can look back at that Falcons and Patriots Super Bowl from 2017, when the Falcons were up 28-3, down up 25, Patriots down 25. That right there should have been the end of the game. You're thinking, oh, this game's over. And Tom Brady said, it's not over until those 4 quarters had triple zeros on the clock.
Yep.
As long as you can chip away at a lead and you believe, you can accomplish anything in a game.
Yeah.
In Philadelphia, the difference between this team and the one that went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago is Saquon Barkley. First touch from scrimmage, 60-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
The one key piece to Philadelphia's success, it's Saquon Barkley. You can make the argument that Saquon Barkley is the MVP for Philadelphia. And look, I'm not an Eagles fan. I can't stand Philadelphia. But I'll be damned if I let my football fandom, get aside when it comes to greatness and talent. Saquon Barkley is an electrifying human highlight reel.
Man, just look at that decision he made last year to move to Philadelphia from the Giants. The biggest move he made of his career ended up being the best move of his career, because look, his first year there, what is he doing? He's in the Super Bowl.
And it's also fitting? The Super Bowl is being played on his birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yep. The timing is so perfect for Saquon to go from the 4 corners of the basement in the Giants to now you are in the biggest game of your life.
You know what we got to do? We got to send a cake with Ezra in it, and he can pop out at the halftime show and wish him a happy birthday. Ezra, you down?
Oh, I'm down. Or I could surprise him like Marshawn Lynch did to Pete Carroll at the press conference.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just serious. Yep. I don't get fined.
Yep.
But yeah, Steven, if you haven't seen that video, Pete Carroll's doing his introductory press conference, and Marshawn Lynch yells, "Raiders!" as loud as he can. And of course, Pete Carroll doesn't even know who's doing it. And then all of a sudden, he's walking to the back after the press conference over. Marshawn's trailing him. and somebody tells him, "You have a visitor." He turns around, it's Marshawn. They share a big old hug, and he goes, "Boy, you didn't hear me?" He goes, "Yelling out there." He goes, "What? That was you?" He goes, "Who else would be yelling like that out there?"
In the press conference.
In the middle of the press conference, yelling Raiders as loud as he could. But
And also, real quick here in the chat, William says here in the chat, Coach Prime started that NIL movement and transfer portal. He's not wrong about that. And he also says that Josh Allen has not played defense, guys, and we get that, but it's up to the defense for Buffalo, to stop. And that's the thing too is, I mean, no matter how great of a defense is, that's the one thing with Mahomes that scares the hell out of me as a player. He will find a way to dissect the defense, even if it takes all game long or even a half long.
Yeah. That's what he's become. He is Brady 2.0. I hate to say it, but he's Brady 2.0, and he honestly may make people forget about Tom Brady's run with what he's doing right now. Because how many Super Bowls did Tom Brady go to in his first 7 years of the NFL career?
He went to 3 and 4 and won. Then he went to the one where they were 18-0 and lost to the Giants. And then he went another 5 years without going to the Super Bowl, lost to the Giants again. And then it took him another 3 years to win his 4th ring. And then he finally won 3 more championships in the last 5-6 seasons of his career. But if Mahomes and the Chiefs can win their 3rd consecutive title in a row, we can honestly, truthfully say we may never, ever experience that ever again in our lifetimes.
And fast forward and look what's happening.
We have experienced something. We have experienced and we are experiencing something that has not been done in almost 36 years. It is an incredible run that this team has been on. The last time that San Francisco was, the last time that we had a back-to-back champion looking to three-peat was San Francisco when they won the titles in 88-89, but they lost in the NFC Championship game against the Giants.
That's when, what's his name, knocked out Montana, right?
Yep, that's when Taylor knocked out Montana. Yeah,
and Montana was never the same after that.
No, he was not, despite taking the Chiefs to an AFC Championship game in 93-94 season.
How old is Mahomes?
He's only 29.
That's what I'm saying. He hasn't even reached 30, and he's on the verge of winning his 4th Super Bowl.
Yeah.
3 in a row, possibly.
It took Brady till he was in his mid-30s, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
As a matter of fact, let me pull up. Yeah, because Mahomes is not even 30 years old yet. And he's putting up these kind of numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Brady did not win his 4th championship until 2014, 2015. Let's see. Tom Brady. He is. Come on, load up. But yeah, that's the one thing about Mahomes that is scary. He wins this championship this year. You can pretty much stamp his name into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you might as well put him in there right then and there at the end of the game.
Let's see. Brady is... He's 47. He won his 4th Super Bowl at the age of 37. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Crazy.
The fact that not even Brady can say he has gotten numbers like this. I mean, this is Michael Jordan levels of success. This is, like him or not, this is LeBron James territory when it comes to getting to the championship, side of things.
Yeah.
Mahomes is
Yeah.
just putting up some unbelievable numbers in his career so
And,
far.
and it's funny when you say about Jordan. If he never retired, imagine how many championships Chicago could have won
Oh
in
my
a row
God.
if Jordan never retired. This is the
absolutely.
question that's been going on for years.
He
Ezra
would have
knows
won
he's
probably
right there.
8 championships, at least 8.
You know, I thought I seen Ezra back there with the towel wiping Jordan down one game, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was about 5. I was anywhere between not born to about 7 years old.
We were still wondering that day, hey, Ezra, when did you get here?
You wouldn't even know if I got here or not, so shut the hell up. Just like Chris, in the immortal words of Chris Jericho, would you please shut the hell up?
You just went on the list, brother. You just went on the list.
No, but
Terrific.
don't worry. I'm not gonna go take the barge to the meatpacking district to go eat New York's favorite pizzas tomorrow's. Joey,
Oh, hey,
what's up?
hey. On a side note, Joseph, how's that belt, brother?
Oh, it's awesome. I love it. I got it sitting right on top of my dresser.
Hell yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Dude, Joey, you're I know we got to get to your thoughts on your commanders and all that too. So I know you wanted to have some time to talk about them. So go ahead.
All right, so my laptop is telling me I only got 20 minutes left on my battery, so I'm going to keep this short and sweet.
Yeah, keep it short and sweet.
So,
Jared King Lawler once said, "Keep your words short and sweet because you might have to eat them."
Yep.
Yeah, that's another story for another time. But yeah, I mean, what can I say? I mean, ever since I've been alive here on this earth, I've seen my Washington team have a little bit of success with RG3's rookie year, and of course, whenever we won the NFC East back in 2020, which was the COVID year with that losing record. I mean, it just didn't really get us anywhere in the playoffs. I mean, it only gave us one win, and that came back in the 05 season when we beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We wound up losing to Seattle in that divisional round. So, I mean, other than that, my boys have experienced such mediocrity. Not like Dallas's mediocrity, which I can't help but laugh at. But yeah, we experienced mediocrity. I mean, when Dan Snyder first bought the team back in '99, everybody thought that he was going to be good for us. Of course, I was 6 years old, almost 7 at the time, so I didn't really know much. But over the years, seeing how Dan Snyder ran this organization, he pretty much ran it into the ground. And
yeah, he was John Fisher before John Fisher did what he did to us out here in Oakland.
Yeah, he really was. He really was. And I mean, and before I dive down deep or go deeper into this, I happened to stumble upon an interview that was done with Dan Snyder not too long ago, and he said that he is absolutely disgusted at the fact that Washington is doing so much better without him. And I'm like, well, dude, you brought it upon yourself. You're the one that dragged this organization into the ground. You're the one that became a cancer to not only the organization, but the fan base as well. I mean, I've seen various videos from Commanders tailgates, or I wouldn't say various videos, but it was one video where somebody was at a Washington Commanders tailgate, and he had gone up to several different fans saying, if Dan Snyder were here right now, what would you tell him? And I heard some of the following comments. Don't ever come back. Go fuck yourself. Stay away from this organization. We don't want you back. Yada, yada, yada. But whose fault is that? Dan fucking Snyder's. Because he dragged this organization literally to football hell in the 20-something years that he was the team owner of this organization. And there was even a small little breakdown as to how the sale went down. I, of course, am not going to reveal every single little detail, of course, because we don't have time for that. But long story short, Dan Snyder was so against selling the team that he locked his bank account to where Josh Harris couldn't wire him the money to make the sale. And even when he finally unlocked it for Harris to wire the money, he didn't want to turn over the keys to the front offices. That's how big of a prick Dan Snyder was. I mean, whenever he sold the team finally to Josh Harris and finally turned the keys over, it was like an early Christmas present for all Washington fans. Because that cancer, that toxicity was finally out of our hair. And it was going to take, I would say, maybe 2 to 3 seasons to try to get Washington back on track. No, sir. It's only taken 1. Because we have a bright future with Josh Harris as our owner, Adam Peters as our GM, Dan Quinn as our head coach, Jaden Daniels as our quarterback. I mean, we have such a bright future ahead of us now that players are telling reporters and other teammates that they want to come to Washington to play for us because they know that we have a bright future. And quite honestly, as long as Jaden Daniels is at the head of the organization, and as long as he continues to get better and better and better and have better playmakers around him, there is no doubt in my mind that Jaden Daniels will one day lead us to a Super Bowl. Do I hope he gets us multiple Super Bowls? Oh, absolutely. But I would be happy with even 1 in this lifetime of mine. I'm going to be happy with 1. But yes, Washington, yeah, we had a rough game Sunday. But we have nothing to be ashamed of, like William said in the chat earlier. We have nothing to be ashamed of. Because this was the best season that we've had in a very, very long time. And I'm looking forward to seeing what this front office is going to do next.
Well, if you look at it, dude, it's a good thing because it's a positive turnaround. They're willing to play. You got players that are going to want to come in. Guys are probably stop talking to players. You know, you can't talk to front offices, but players can talk to each other and say, hey, look, when my contract's done in 2-3 years, I'm coming that way. I'll take a pay cut to come play with this team.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Warriors. Look at all these guys that came to the Warriors in that run they had when they were playing Cleveland and then they lost to Toronto. Players wanted to come out and play, and people would take a pay cut. You know, when you're giving 3 top players max deals, it's kind of tough to bring in players for something because you can't give them all that money. But I see Washington coming around. Dude, check this out. Saturday, I was out grocery shopping, grabbing my stuff for this upcoming week. I saw 3 cars with the old school Washington Redskin flags on their back out here in the Bay Area, California.
Nice.
Across the country, you got Washington Redskin fans out here with the Redskin flags, not the Commanders, but Redskin flags. That had me juiced because I felt they were going to go and push their way into the championship, or you know, they made it to the championship, right? But it's just they had that opportunity. But like I said, Joseph, your team could build on that and move forward, and I see them in the Super Bowl within the next 3 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an amazing, amazing feeling to know that your football team is going to have a bright future ahead because all of the darkness that they have had to endure for the last 25 years with Dan Snyder running this team into the ground, to finally have an owner and GM who believe in you and what you have assembled in 1 year. I mean, like I've said on this show countless times, that Hail Mary against Chicago, that right there was the play that only defied Jaden Daniels being the rookie of the year, but that also rallied the Commanders fans around this team to believe that, hey, if we can string together some victories, we might can make a run. And they did. Nothing to be ashamed of.
Exactly. Well, boys, that's my time. I got to jump because I got to start shortly here at the lounge.
All right,
Thank you,
All
Hijacker.
right, Jacker, it's been a pleasure as always.
Thanks for
I'll
coming
try
by.
to definitely, man. I'll try to jump on with you guys a couple of times here and there throughout the year. If there's anything big going, I'll try to jump on with you guys. Or if there's anything you guys want to talk about, just hit me up a couple of days in advance, and I'll try to make some time to get down here to jump on with you guys for 30 to 40 minutes.
Do you think you're going to be able to come on for the show before the Super Bowl?
Next week, right?
Yeah, next week.
Yeah, let me move some things around, and I can try to jump on here with you guys next week so we can do our predictions and whatnot. You know, my normal time when I get in the lounge and hang out for about 30, 40 minutes with y'all. I can do that.
Good thing, man. Thanks again. We appreciate it, Hijacker.
Definitely, man. And you guys know where to catch up with me, Hijacker Mike or Mr. Mac or Smoking the Bay Cigar Review.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks again, and you have a good night, man.
All right, guys, you guys take it easy. Have a good rest of the show, and I'll catch up with you next week. Same channel, same time.
All right,
Yes,
brother.
sir.
All right, man. In the words of Jacob Fatu, yada they mean? Bay Area shit, baby. Later.
Once again, that is our boy Hijacker. Check out Smoking the Bay if you smoke cigars, if you're a cigar aficionado, or want to learn about cigars. If you're a beginner, or if you just want to know, go
And his
check him out.
YouTube
It's
channel's
Smoking-
doing really good.
Oh yeah, putting up some good numbers and getting a good amount of followers. He's doing an absolute great job. Real quick, my thoughts on that Commanders game.
Well, actually, real quick, Ezra, before you dive into that, I really hate to have to do this, but my laptop is literally about to die on me, so I'm going to have to go away and get off here for the night.
All
All
right,
right,
Joey.
man.
All right, peace out, guys. I'll see you next week.
Great job, dude.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not gonna waste a lot of time on this. I'm gonna kind of give you some basic thoughts. To me, the Eagles finally, I think, put everything together. I think that it took a couple weeks. Obviously, like I said a few shows ago, Jalen Hurts was out with that concussion for a few weeks, so he got rusty. Then in the game comes back, he injures his knee, so he has that now to deal with. But I think the team finally got it together. Saquon Barkley broke out on those two huge running plays, got himself out there, and started a fire for that team. And it was a fire that unfortunately the Commanders just could not put out. They gave it their best shot. They gave what they could, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough. And it was like I said, I think this Eagles team is looking better than it's been the whole playoffs and most of the season. I think they're starting to turn it up now, and it's the right time to turn it up, especially going up against a high-powered Chiefs offense. You gotta make sure that not only is your defensive front ready to go, but you gotta make sure that because the Chiefs have a great defense as well. Showed in that game against the Bills, and so definitely Josh Allen and company better be ready. But that's pretty much my basic thoughts on that, and we're gonna get more deeper into this as the next next couple of shows progresses. Obviously, this coming week is the Pro Bowl. So, right, Steven, or is it next week?
It's this week.
All right, this week is the Pro Bowl. So, the next show we'll be doing our Super Bowl analysis and predictions. So, get ready for that. Get ready for that next week as well. We'll have Hijacker Mike hopefully back on. Maybe Kevin Rory will jump on with us for a little bit. I know he's had a busy, hectic schedule, so it's kind of been hard to get him back on the show lately. But I gotta say, man, what a great show today. Everybody did awesome. Glad to have the crew back on. I'm glad to be back on. Steven, do you have anything you want to talk about else right now?
I think I am good for tonight.
All right, man. Real quick before I hand it over to you to do your final thoughts, I want to send some positive thoughts to Matt Pinfield. It was announced today that on January 6th, he suffered a massive stroke, and his daughter has filed for temporary conservatorship over fear that his Matt Pinfield's girlfriend is going to end up stealing his money because he's technically mentally and physically incompetent right now to manage his finances. So, so his daughter is going to take conservatorship to make sure that Matt's money stays where it is. And right now he's recovering from the stroke. We don't know his condition outside it, but we want to wish all the best to the legendary Matt Pinfield. Of course, being on MTV for decades and decades and decades, usually on the Monsters of Rock cruise as well. Definitely want to wish him the best. Steven, your final thoughts for the evening. Let's close it out like we do.
Yep, great show with you guys tonight. Glad to have William back in the chat. It's been a little while, sir. Glad you're doing good. Looking forward to next week as we break down all of the angles of Super Bowl 59 in a rematch from Super Bowl 57 between the back-to-back Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, going for NFL history. The first team to possibly three-peat and go win 3 championships in a row, but it's not going to be an easy task because they will face Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, and the Philadelphia Eagles in what should be a very, very competitive game. And also looking forward to this weekend to the Royal Rumble. This Saturday, Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. It is going to be an incredible, incredible night of wrestling. So excited.
We're gonna be at Matt. They're gonna be at Pat McAfee's house, baby.
Yes, they are. It's going to be great. Cannot wait. I am honestly more excited for the Rumble this go around than I have been in quite some time.
Absolutely, it's gonna be one hell of a show this weekend, man.
Cannot wait. It's going to be phenomenal. Looking forward to a great night of wrestling. And also, like Ezra said, if you are in the MMA, you got to get up way early in the morning to watch these fights on Saturday morning.
Yep, 9 a.m. the prelims. I believe it is 11 a.m. is the main card. So definitely check that out. If you got ESPN, we got ESPN Plus, check that out. I'll be watching it as well, so we'll be able to do that. But it's going to be a great night of combat sports in general with pro wrestling and MMA on both at the same time. Obviously, Super Bowl next weekend. So of course we got that Daytona 500 coming up soon. A lot of the spring sports coming up. UFL, we'll be covering that as well. So definitely we're gonna be covering everything that we can. But we'll Steven, you have anything else to say before we go?
I think I'm good. Real quick, you can follow. Real quick, also as a reminder, the Nation's Corner will not be live this Saturday due to the Rumble starting so early at 6 p.m. Eastern. The Rumble's going to be starting 5 o'clock is the pre-show. So the guys and gal will be taking off this week to enjoy the Rumble this weekend. And I'm so fired up. Cannot wait to be enjoying another Royal Rumble. It's my favorite time of the year when it comes to professional wrestling, and it is about time for the WWE to kick things into high gear. And looking forward to seeing the endless possibilities on who could come out the victor and win the Rumble match this Saturday. And with that being said, great show with you guys. Everybody that is out here watching this live tonight, thank you very much. And for those that watch on demand, thank you very much as well. As a matter of fact, you can follow us on Twitter at @ON_sports show, Facebook.com/OurNationSportsShow, and where we are live on most Tuesday nights. Sometimes we have to flex the show to other days due to scheduling. But we are live on YouTube.com/OurNationSportsShow. Be sure to like, share, subscribe to all your family and your friends who love the world of sports just as much as we do. And we are so excited to be covering the NFL's final game next week as we make our final predictions for the 2024-25 NFL season as we analyze and preview Super Bowl 59 in the Big Easy, New Orleans, Louisiana, between the Chiefs and the Eagles. Should be a hell of a game, hell of a ride, and it's been a lot of fun covering the NFL all year long this year, and looking forward to covering it one more time as we make our final analysis before the big game. And with that being said, Ezra, wrap us up, my friend.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us live or on demand. Our individual social medias, of course, will be there. We at the bottom of this video, you can follow me at Deadman469. You can follow Steven at Steven_Wyand. You can follow Kevin Rory at the Niner Gang. I believe it's the Niner Gang or that Niner Gang.
Yep, that Niner Gang 10.
The Niner Gang 10. Of course, you can follow. I believe it's Roll Tide _1982 or Roll _Tide 1982.
Second one correct. Yep. Roll _Tide 1992.
Yep, 92 for Joey Thornton. And of course, Mr. Mac for Hijacker Mac on our Twitter as well. And of course, don't forget to follow at Too Sweet Cosplay, like I said in the beginning. And follow, of course, Nation's Corner as well. So with that being said, for everybody, for the entire sports show team, for Kevin, Steven, Joey, Randy, Hijacker, and everybody else in the Sports Nation, I am Bezra Vickery. We will see you next week with another great edition of our Nation Sports Show. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next Tuesday for our Super Bowl prediction show. Same time, same YouTube channel. Enjoy the Rumble. And just remember, say his name, and he appears.
Turn me up.